Islam wars. Let's rise. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe. Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day. To the Holy Prophet, Noble Jawali, Islam. To be proclaimed in every meeting. I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asians must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Jawali. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical, agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who holds malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their carding button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jawali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans to do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Jawali. Islam. So we had a situation. One of the Moors had a situation out here, and some Moors went to assist with the situation. And in going to assist with the situation, they got past the phone for a Moor out here that, you know, this individual should talk to or get some information from or whatever. It turns out that it's the same Moors who we excommunicated for selling packages and all this type of stuff.
And it's crazy stuff. There's a person like walk-ins. I used to be in the walk-ins.
She's mad now?
Yeah, so me and the student are just giving her a 1-2, right? And then I sort of have to, you know, I said I gotta go, but you know, you
so he's still up there? He's still mad.
She hasn't left yet, so you know that he's like, how come you treat the people like this? I said, that's not what we're about. And because she's mad about the Europeans, they did this to us and whatever. We're saying, listen, it's not about this. It's about the energy things. But she's been she's hurt. You can see it just in her language. She's like, just as soon as see that, she was like, just her body just You know what I mean? It turned
just from dealing with
us talking about what it was about, because we were saying that if you were up in walking, oh well, I was involved with them. How come we're in groups where they say certain people are above other people?
Yeah.
I said, that's not what we're about.
Right.
And I said, really, if someone wants to ask what this movement's about, it's about uplifting you back to your proper
proper position. Yeah.
Right, but of course they
got to be matriarchal to even go there. They got to be matriarchal to even go there, or even have that as a concept.
Right. The problem is what's happened is the indoctrination is so thick, and then the anger. Right. She's so angry right now.
Yeah.
I said one of the things you have to do is she's like, we're black in all of our things. I said to her, when I was young, I said I used to walk the streets when people used to call me black, and I looked at my skin. I said, but I'm not.
I don't qualify.
No, I'm saying, but I'm not black. So how are you calling me black?
Yeah.
So she had to sort of be quiet on that one, but you soon up there giving her the one.
Giving her the 1-2
You know you're soon, right?
We know you're soon. You know you're soon.
But yeah, she's so mad about the European, and that's what you soon said. That's what we said. She's like, well, how come? And then you soon's like, no, we're inclusive. And she's like, I could never then be with if you're. And we realized then, right?
Yeah.
You need to let that go.
You gotta let that go.
Because what you soon said, which is absolutely correct, is that we've done more. It's our own people. It's our own people who've done way
right
more.
Where we're going.
Huh?
Which is right where we're going.
Oh, come on in.
But it's always our own. It's always our own. You know? Probably either. I was gonna say just pull her up before you
We should probably turn that fan on too, right? Hello.
Hi, sis.
Come on, hi. Come on.
How you doing?
Where's Sean?
So we've had we'll just push that door. So we've had thank you. So we've had these individuals that we had issues with prior. They were selling packages and things like that. So we had our own little trial because we're of the mindset that we would handle our own issues. We're not going to go call highwaymen or whatever like that because it's Moors dealing with Moors, right? So the individual spoke to one of the Moors, actually was who the individual spoke to, and they brought up certain things that don't really jive with where it is that we are and why it is that we take the position that we take as people coming into this, that you better be doing your studying or whatever, because there's people out here who there's a market for play dumb people who don't study, people who think that you can just go on YouTube and learn or whatever. They are the ones that get played, right? People who take the position of studying from certain people who taught them a certain way, and then they're going to take what they learned and then they're going to go a different direction with it, opposed to sticking to the program of how they got it. They're out there to play people. They're doing it in that way for them to play people. So the individuals whose name came up is USAR, United States of America Republic, and United States of America Republic position is that they're the government for the Moors. All right, they say that they're the government for the Moors. When they say that they're the government for the Moors, they have an individual called president by the name of Cannon Bay.
This is what they're saying.
This is their whatever, right? But this is not even to do with them yet. This is just dealing with the individual Cannon Bay. So we are, where's the just get non-presidential NOMPREC NOMPRECEDENTIAL. Yeah, non-presidential disposition. United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit, Chicago, Illinois, submitted March 26, 2014. United States of America plaintiff versus Christopher H. Cannon. Right, so United States of America versus Christopher H. Cannon. Order. Christopher Cannon, a self-professed public minister of the Moor Science Temple of America, used fake $50 bills to buy 3 televisions from Sears. After a jury trial in December 2011, during which Cannon was removed from the courtroom for disruptive behavior, he was found guilty of passing counterfeit money. Peace, Moor. So,
That's right. That's the first one I got.
That was the one you picked up first?
Yeah, I said, no, I'm not getting nervous. You felt that energy, right? What's that?
No, because we're talking about the shirt, what shirt we're wearing today.
So you're gonna wear this up today.
So this individual, Christopher Cannon, before he was USAR, he was, according to the record, public minister for MST8.
I'm gonna get you.
Check under, it might be under precedent. Check under precedent and then they might say non on there. So a public minister of the Moor Science Temple of America in 2014, but 2018, he's the president of USAR. Right, which are 2 separate jurisdictions. The district judge sentenced him to 30 months imprisonment, but before that, in January 2012, Cannon was charged with a second indictment with 2 counts of mail fraud arising from false insurance claims he submitted after his house burned down. So, no wonder people use the Moorish nationality or birthrights to gain some fame and nobility, because it's highly likely anybody who's saying that they're head of something Moorish and they start talking against constitutions, they start talking against more standing up for their rights of certain things, They start talking against Moors not being obligated to pay taxes. They're talking against right to travel. Then they start talking against certain people, Ras Mariah Bay. They start talking against Taj Street Bay. They start talking against Canaanland Moors, all that. You know that there's probably stuff prior that hasn't been in the public. Like we know, with Moors who we deal with, Brother Yasoon, Brother Lanre, Brother Canaan, whoever. All these Moors that have stuff, they've been to court or they did jail time or whatever like that. That's just it. That's ain't nothing to be secret about. But if you have documents that are public records that anybody could go out and just go research find, and you're not addressing those things, and people are going to the public record and finding those things, then something's wrong with this individual that didn't put it on you. That, well, just so you know, what happened was and then this is why we're at this place today saying that we're whoever that we say we are. But there's all these discrepancies already that how is there an order saying that he was a self-professed public minister of the Moor Science Temple of America? How come he's not still that? And if he's a self-professed public minister of that, then he's going to be a self-professed anything going forward. Because self-professed means ain't nobody put him to be that. They took the position on themselves that, oh, I am a public minister of Moor Science Temple because whatever reason they make up to say that that's why. And then because people are caught up in, like we were saying in the beginning, they don't study, so they don't know really what certain things are. And then they're going on, this individual has a page and they got a website and then they have a seal on their thing and then they put up some papers and then they did this, they did that. Oh yeah, they must be somebody. Well, if he was really somebody, how come he wasn't this person who he is now when these court papers were going on? How come this not saying Christopher Cannon, president of USAR back then? If they're pushing that so hard, like we tell people, we've been saying Moor Science Temple since 2008, right? And then everybody who we say is our master teacher, those are still our master teachers. Everybody's still the same. Why? Because we deal with who has the sincerity, who's trustworthy, who should we really deal with, because we know that this is divine for us, right? When we had the situation and we were telling people about Aboriginal law firm, you know what I mean? Don't go with those Moors or whatever like that. Those Moors are gonna jack your finance or whatever like that. They try to jack us. We're like, nah, you guys don't know what you're talking about. They're with Taj and they're with these people and they're with whatever and they study for, and I seen them at the class with whoever. Okay, where they at now? No such thing called Aboriginal law firm. But those individuals are still around under a different name. And now they're playing people on a whole different angle.
Having been paid like thousands of dollars.
Having been paid already. Yo, same-ish new toilet.
So, yeah,
we're going pre camera in them because we found out that they're with USAR now.
So I got president.
Oh, you got, all right.
I don't have none, but
All right.
So on a judge case or decision of the court or justice considered as furnishing an example or authority for an identical or similar case, afterwards arising or a similar question of law.
Say it run that one more time, a little louder. Yo,
In a judge
this
case
is gonna pick up.
or decision of a court of justice considered as furnishing an example authority for an identical or similar case, afterwards arising or a similar question of law. It means that a principle of law actually presented to a court of authority for consideration and determination has, after due consideration, been declared to serve as a rule for future guidance in the same or analogous cases, but matters merely which lurk in the record and are not directly advanced or expressly decided are not precedents.
Right. So for non-precedent, we have a legal. This is off dictionary.com. A legal decision or form of proceeding serving as an authoritative rule or pattern in future, similar, or analogous cases, any act, decision, or case that serves as a guide or justification for subsequent situations. And non-presidential decision a decision that cannot be relied upon to predict or determine how. In other words, it does not provide any precedent for future decisions. So the thing that we're reading only applies to him and him only. Not going to use this to show, oh, well, somebody else, did something like this and they're going to use this as, because it's only appeals court. And the appeals court decision doesn't have any bearing on the case. When you appeal, it's either they dismiss it, say, hell no, whatever you're appealing is BS, so we're not even hearing your appeal, which is what they did with him because they found him guilty.
So you kind of sound like you found a motion.
Well, even when you go through the transcript, where's it at? Oh, Cannon does challenge the appointment of counsel to represent him at trial, but that challenge has no merit. Cannon had the right to represent himself, but that right could not be exercised without knowingly and intelligently waiving the right to counsel. Cannon did his best to avoid making a choice. He said repeatedly that he did not want any help from his appointed lawyer. He did not want any help from his appointed lawyer. He's saying himself, I don't want help from my appointed lawyer. Well, that means you have a lawyer. Because you accepted the appointment.
God to do his own thing and probably get over and try.
No, wait a minute. I disagree with that. He's saying he doesn't want any help from his appointed lawyer.
But he called it his.
Oh, yeah.
He's implying that it's his appointed. It's appointed. But he takes possession. You have to say no.
You didn't say nothing about it. It's supposed to be the.
Right.
Well, if you're making a statement, you're supposed to say the appointed lawyer.
And I'm agreeing with that from that perspective, but I'm saying that I think I sort of see it as being clipped. That he's at least halfway there, right?
Well, to be teaching to be a minister.
Okay, so
Yeah, because he's claiming he's the public minister for MSTA. So he should already have that knowledge. It's not even getting this far. That in the appeals, they're talking about some appointed whatever. In the appeal. At a status hearing a few weeks before the trial, the district judge had understood Cannon to be asking that his appointed lawyer be discharged and that he be allowed to represent himself. When the judge acceded but appointed the same lawyer to stand by as counsel, Cannon responded, "Well, I still must object because I am not representing myself here today." The comment prompted the judge to reconsider, and when Cannon next appeared before him a few weeks later, the judge once more asked if he wanted to represent himself. Cannon replied, "I do not wish to contract with your corporation at all." And the judge, seeking clarification, asked, "This means you don't want to represent yourself, correct?" Cannon answered, I do not wish to contract with your corporation. I give you a better answer. I do not consent waiver of benefit. Now remember, all this is the sovereign citizen language. This is why they're playing games with them, because they already know this is Chicago. We told Moors already that the Moors who we came up under, when they go to court, court shut down for the day. There's already a precedent of how things are supposed to go with Moors by 2012 in Chicago. There's already something outlined that Moors have gone through it over and over and over and over and over again. Go to court, stuff get dismissed. No questions asked. Because they already know that's Chicago. No withdrawal was there. They got Resolution 75 and all that stuff. They already know what's up. They got Cook County right there. All the stuff no withdrawal filed in there. They got the FBI records, all the stuff filed in there. Everything's there. That the people who are quote unquote the government or whatever of Chicago, they're extremely familiar with Moors in Chicago. There's no way that they should be going to appeals court there. No way.
Now, one time did I hear
Which again goes back to this thing of people get taught or they learn from certain individuals.
So, because he's not under the umbrella, he's under his own, he's trying to make his own thing.
Right, like he
No
tried to tie himself to NSTA, Juali, and all that without authority. Like we had authority. Somebody gave us a charter, gave us titles, so gave us a mandate of what we're supposed to do. Right? We got seals from the temple, we got seal Moorish Divine National Movement and all that. So it's not even anything to you know what I mean? So yeah, go ahead.
Their thing is called MST or it's called USAR?
Yeah, USAR is what they're called. Now.
What is it like
during
under
this
MSTA or no?
No, during this time there was no USAR going on. USAR is 2013. The case that we're reading is 2012. And then public minister for MSTA is between whenever they started saying that and when he got the case. Which all this stuff came out that he's a public minister and that he has jurisdiction and they're trying to play like, you know, this is how real it is. But these people in Chicago who call themselves court or whatever, they already know what's up. They've been dealing with Moors since the 1900s in Chicago. Go in the court. Milio went to court. Kirkman Bay went to court. Givensville went to court. You know what I mean? CM Bay went to court. Everybody. Dirty Wars went to court. Clean Moors went to court. They already know what's up. And they already have their how it's gonna go. As soon as you come, you start certain language. All right, we're gonna do it like this. You gonna start? Oh, okay. Well, we know that you're the ones that we have to dismiss. All right.
Well, you know, I remember when I was actually female candidate, I was like, I straight up asked him, why don't you reach the temple? His answer he gave, it wasn't even clear. Like it was just like I didn't really get anything valuable essentially from like his answer was just like he doesn't deal with people that are not recognized or something like that. I don't even know. But at the end of the day, according to who, you're gonna say you're not recognized according to who because we don't really recognize no USAR because that was not made for Moors, you know. So if people are recognizing USAR, it's recognized from the people that it was made for. And I realized that a lot of times we as Moors, excuse me, a lot of times individuals will make ego and pride get in the way. And if something, as she brought on earlier, something is presented at a time of individual's life that took place. And if they're not explaining that to the people, it's usually because there's something they want to hide, and ego is going to have them showing their true colors that they don't want people to see.
Yeah. Which again, going back to the jealous of the fame and nobility. Right? Because if you're even just on this, if you're gonna say you're a public minister, when all these people know that if you're talking MSTA, it's divine minister. Ain't nothing called public minister in that. You already know that this guy's a fraud. And it's only people who aren't familiar with what it is that's gonna get played. Divine minister is what it is. Just like somebody comes and they say, oh yeah, Moor Science Temple, we're a grand sheikh. Our temple has grand sheikhs. We don't say sheikh in our temple, we say sheikhs. And you go check Noble Drew all these stuff and they know no sheikh anywhere and anything. Obviously, I don't care if they got a charter, Noble Drew all come out the back. They're saying sheikh, that's probably clone, 3D whatever, hologram or something like that. That's not really Noble Drew all, right? And if you're claiming that you're a public minister, then why wouldn't the so-called jurisdiction called the government or whatever, United States, whoever that's coming after him, have jurisdiction? You can't claim you don't want appointed attorney when appointed attorney is a public position and you're a public minister.
You should be the first one there.
Right? How are you a public minister but you're denying counsel?
So the USAR, is this it's a corporate status?
Let's see if we find there. So what the USAR is what the USAR is copycatting is Moorish American national government with Pleasant Bay. That's what they're trying to do. Create a jurisdiction and then have Moors think that like that this is for Moors. But if they're calling this thing United States of America Republic, which United States of America Republic was created for Europeans, wasn't created for Moors to have any type of say or activity or whatever like that. When we look at Noble Drew Ali bringing up Republic all the time and bringing up a constitution, that wasn't ours. That was there. That was for us to have something to hold them to. So they don't try to violate us based on us not standing up for what the laws are or the rights are. But when you have people telling you that statutes and acts and codes and all that stuff is the law, which is where they go.
Or they use the UCC.
Right? Whatever else that they use. Because they're talking about authenticating birth certificates and all that too. Which again goes into this whole fraudulent jurisdiction that only people who don't study get caught up in. Because if they had their thinking cap on, they would realize immediately when these people start talking that something's wrong here. Like when we talk about with Morehouse lawyers, these Moors that are doing dirt out here.
So who are
People are going to them, right? People are going to them to find out about Moors or whatever. People are going to them because they got found out about at court. Now somebody was at court. They seen a guy in a fez at the court, and they went to the guy and asked questions and see what he's saying. I was, oh yeah, well, you're not doing this right. You should have did this. You should have did that. To reel people in to leave the court place with them, number, email address, or whatever like that. They contact them later and then go through all the BS that the people think is actually this is a legitimate position because they got a fez on and they got a whatever. So they must be legitimate. Hold on, you had something?
Well, I was just saying, you were saying that people go up to them, but I'm saying seemingly the reality is someone mentioned it yesterday that they're like ambulance chasers, right?
Right.
They're actually looking to try and to take advantage of people who are
who are already going through something.
stuff. So it's like you're down and I'm looking to kick you.
Right.
That's sort of the perspective.
Yeah.
Which is what has been the perspective anyways out there to begin with.
Yeah.
With the sort of de facto situation.
Right. So if you just you can look up the case. It's United States of America versus Christopher C. Cannon. United States of America versus Christopher C. Cannon. And again, it's public record or whatever. It's information that's out there. All right, so it is what it is. So the individuals in question have left. Well, not left. They got excommunicated from us, and then they were out floating, trying to find legitimacy, if you will. All right. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think if we're getting to that point, maybe we could just sort of maybe be a little more chronologically sort of accurate. But I was just saying, give more of a little bit more detail. You sort of be a little bit more expound a little bit more on the on sort of like the timeline and how it all happened, right?
So we had a law department, right? And then
so maybe I can speak to this. So this is going back what, 3 years now? 2.5, 3 years?
going back what?
It's going back about 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, right?
Yeah.
We had been looking to sort of try and respond to the issues at hand and try to sort of have people who hopefully would be honorable to help other people out through these difficult situations. So this gentleman, sort of spoke up and said that he was interested in doing that. So the result of that was we created what we called a law department to sort of answer to that. This gentleman's name is Chamray Bay. He had stepped in and was seemingly in the beginning trying to help out with things. And as things began to proceed and continue on, we started to hear word that certain things were going on that were absolutely against what we are about. And
oh yeah, and then we'll put this up there throughout the timeline. At this time, we're looking at, let's say 100. Let's say $100 to $200 as the amount
as the fraud.
The amount of fraud was based in this amount initially.
And these were for things that under our nation were supposed to be, at the very least, only administrative costs were supposed to be assigned to that, which would have been the cost for printing, which may have amounted to $5 to $10.
Minimum.
Minimum. But ultimately, we at that point were doing those things on the strength of trying to uplift our nation. So we weren't even, charging for that. So we started to hear rumors that people were actually getting charged $100 to $200 for that. We ended up doing some research and actually hearing sort of firsthand knowledge. Someone came in here and gave testimonial that they actually had paid $100. And wasn't this around the whole Supreme thing too?
Yeah, around the same time.
Right. So this is to do with another of our
and
Rennie.
Yeah.
So this is to do with them being charged $100, which is 100% or $100 more than they should have been being charged for anything.
Yeah.
In terms of good faith and love. So that was
So at this time, was that?
remember that was not
still,
this is
I know, was he still, so this is when he completely stopped reaching to the temple and like,
No, they were still.
he was still reaching to the temple, but we
They were definitely here less at this time.
And then
They were definitely here less. They weren't here as much as
was the Durali that we had at Scarborough, and then they turned, they reached, but he
No,
hadn't reached
that
for a
was-
long time before that.
that was
Yeah.
that was about a year after that. The trial was about at least probably about 8-9 months after he stopped even attending.
Yeah.
But the Durali they were attended happened before that, but our Durali.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah, that was before the trial.
Time being there. You guys had the tribunal there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because that the tribunal was tribunal part of Noble Durali?
No,
it was just
Right.
even after that.
It was after.
Noble Durali was our first time being at
Yeah,
that,
being at that
that spot.
The tribunal happened after that.
At that same spot.
Right.
And it was actually that event that caused us to not go back there.
Right. Yeah.
So this is where it started at this $100 to $200 level. This is going back because we have affidavits to that effect. This is going back to 2016. That's where that was, right?
Right. And this is
So why
prior
don't you put
to
the timeline there?
getting them out. Right.
Huh?
This was prior to them officially leaving. Right? This is not. They're not. Camry Bay, the people who call themselves Morehouse lawyers, and then mostly they were in Brampton. Right? That was sort of their
But I sort of felt like the Morehouse lawyers came about later.
No, that's what they call themselves now. I'm just saying that's what.
Oh, yeah,
That's nothing to do with the prior to Morehouse lawyers or whatever. They were members of the temple. They had no titles or nothing like that. Only this individual was head of the law department. Right.
Oh, but then actually we can even speak to the tribunal, right?
No, that's the next thing.
Okay.
So if you go to YouTube and you look up tribunal, Canaanland Moors Tribunal, Brampton Moors, Morehouse lawyers, or whatever, the tribunal will come up. So the tribunal was where we presented all our evidence based on these things, right? So we had
And this was going in conjunction with our administrative handbook that says in our nation, if we have an issue, we bring that to the people. The people that have issues have to step forward. They have to be able to then cross-examine and all that kind of stuff. So we held our own de jure sort of tribunal where he was then, if he had felt that he was doing no wrong, had been given a month to 2 months notice
2 months or whatever
to come and show up.
to present what their case is. But we basically said, okay, well, we have a case, you got to present your case in front of members.
So we
Their position was that, oh, it's biased, it's this and that. So we got a third party, who was Brother Seton Rabe, to sit in as the quote-unquote judge or the magistrate or the mediator for the tribunal, because they agreed to him. Because in the background, they were calling him, complaining about us. Now we're running stuff messed up.
And saying that we weren't legitimate or whatever.
And saying that we're not legitimate. And they went and talked to these people in Chicago and these people wherever, and they're saying that, well, Canaanland Moor's charter is not real and whatever, whatever. So they had a rapport with him that they took as, you know, well, we have somebody on our side.
But you know, on top of that too, what charter does it need to be there for you to deal with your brother in love and truth? Like seriously, why do you need a written paper to deal with your brother in love and truth? You're not supposed to rob your brother. That ain't gotta be written. That's just straightforward. You know, for you to make excuse and say, oh yeah, they ain't no lawful charter. Man, you got something that you gotta work on your own self.
And then this is where things like the Omar getting his spidey senses tingling or whatever, that, well, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have this guy run the thing. And then Amari's spidey sense tingling, and you know, they were in a class and he's talking about, well, yeah, if you want to get money, let's just pass the fez around and have people put money in the fez or whatever.
Church now.
No, but I think, and in defense to that too, the way that my spidey sense had started tingling when he first came in here. Remember, he was all fur coated up. It was very indicating. There was a huge fur coat, all sort of done up like he was pimping. And,
not just pimping, big.
So go on.
Wait,
So
hold on there. What do you see what you're talking about though? Yes, sir. It has to do with the conditioning, the programming, and our mentality. Enough of us is wearing the feds, enough of us are trying to come out of a certain state, but it's still the nigger and shit going on. So we're still trying to put each other down. And the reason why we're doing a lot of what we're doing right now is because the temple was infiltrated and corrupted by people who were supposed to be genuine and loyal and honorable. So there's a competition thing running. So we inauthentic. Like I had the same discussion with one of those brothers too, right? Pertaining to like the same people. And what I have to ask him is like, but if we're standing within the 5 principles and we're doing what the prophet set out for us to do, who cares who cares if it's a legitimate charter or if it's authentic or whatever? We're doing what the work. Why wouldn't you just align yourself and deal with the 5 principles? He's like, yeah, true, but
So, and I also want to
just one quick thing too, and the but, why you go align with us? The but is because they don't know this. New people who connect with them, they're going on them like, oh, they don't have any history here. They're just some Moors out here doing whatever. Nobody doesn't know that they've been at a tribunal and stuff like that. These people got found guilty of charging people with grants for stuff that's free and all that stuff. You know what I mean? If people knew that, again, going back to the thing of studying, because if people were studying, they would find out this stuff. So this public record, this stuff on YouTube, this stuff that there's Moors who aren't here that called us to say, hey, you know those Moors in your tribunal thing? They came to us to try to get a charter. Only because we saw the thing, we said, no, we're not even going to deal with you guys. You guys should go deal with Cujo. Which obviously you already know that they're not going to do that. Right? You had also.
No, I was just going back to the fact that I think Cootie had been, I think this is something that we had realized, and I'm speaking out to all of us as a nation here, that the nation building stuff, we understand when like you look at the de facto government, they've got all kinds of people working at making this stuff work, right? You've got your opinions, you've got all these people. We were in a position where there were only a few people. So we understood and saw that there was an issue and that we needed someone to fill that. So what we realized was that, yet again, people will prey on weakness. So what happened was, hey, we need people to maybe show up at these tribunals and to do these kind of things. So this man saw this as an angle to come in, but we were looking for genuine people. Like if you say, hey, I'm going to help you come and clean, okay, come and clean. And then you're charging people to clean, then we're like, we made a mistake. So what happened was we started to realize the error of our ways. But this is what happened. And we've since learned from then that someone coming in on day one with a fur coat saying pass the fez around is probably not the right guy to have. Even though he's saying I'm a Moor, and he is a Moor from his bloodline, he's not.
But the activity
hands
is
Moor.
What I have to add to that is, you see, that's why we don't believe things. We don't consult, right? So we needed to know, what because I remember when I first came into this, he was part of the adepts, right? So
Well, he was part of the adept in the position of wanting.
Yeah,
because we were at a
fill in the
position
spot.
of we needed to sort of say, hey, if we're trying to do something, and someone would say, okay, who's going to do the drywalling? Okay, you say I want to do drywalling. It doesn't mean you've got experience doing drywalling. You're saying I'm going to do drywalling. So you sort of, it's almost like you're working into that position. Not that you're a master of drywalling. You see the difference, right? It's not that you came in at this being a master. You're saying I want to do this, and we're saying okay.
actually, and just as you said that, he was actually a master at crystals and energy.
Remember,
Because that's the whole thing why we went to. That's why we went to.
Right.
Went to check you in the first place.
all right.
Right, yeah,
Well, I was just saying, it's like we needed to know, who we have as, because remember, we're the grand body, we're the beneficiaries, right? And the trustees are the grand sheik and the treasurer and the
Assistant.
the chairman, right? The secretary. Those are our trustees, right? We need to know who is real and who's not.
How do we do it? Like,
So remember, we came in this with good intentions. But remember, they say good intentions always don't always end up in the right way. So we had the tribunal. This was the thing with the tribunal. Whoever was there, we had the tribunal. They didn't even show up. Tribunal started at 1.
Came on the end.
They came right at the end and then demanded that after it had already been, and anyone who's been through the de facto knows that if you show up after, if you have a court case and you're supposed to be there at 1 and you show up at 4 and they've already adjudicated on you, and you come in and say I'm late, you're getting the punishment. You ain't getting them to open back court
Is
again.
this as if like someone like giving an alert like the finishing option can come down?
No, this is the sense I got. I'll tell you what my spidey sense was, if you want to say. The spidey sense was he came in with a crew because he was nervous. He didn't want to come in alone.
That's what I'm saying. Someone that was in that crew might have been there earlier to show him that.
No, one of my thing was it took him time to collect his people together, right? Because probably those people were not, in my perspective, those people probably didn't want to show up, but he sort of went and corralled a whole bunch of people so that he could come in with a posse. And they showed up after it was done. And then they started saying all kinds of nonsense. And then sort of Cujo lost his cool.
That's my marbles.
Yeah. He started overturning tables and such and whatever. And that's where really things sort of just that's when things remember that? That's when things actually that was when the blade cut everything. It was sort of at that physical point where we had to then say, okay, looks like Cujo's ready to throw down. So we had to then, right? And that, you remember that was when Setnra, I remember Setnra was there and Setnra went off and talked with them, right?
No, Setnra was for the tribunal. Remember, he was on the phone.
No, but someone went off to, I remember.
That was Captain.
Oh, Captain took.
That took him because he was playing the neutral.
Right.
I'm part of I know them, but I'm part of you guys.
No, you know what it was?
Setnra
got on the phone with him. I think Setnra was on the phone with him. That's what happened.
Oh yeah.
Setnra got on the phone with him and kind of cooled him out. And
Right. So went to the tribunal. They got found guilty. Now, after the tribunal we get a call. We get a call from RVB after the tribunal. This is maybe
a couple weeks, right? A month,
maybe 2 months. 2 months after the tribunal, we get a call from RVB. Hey, we just wanted to find out if you know these individuals by the name of, Camry, Captain, or whoever people. Yeah, those are the Moors who we had the tribunal for, and we kicked them out. Well, they're trying to say that you guys aren't really the official Moorish jurisdiction for Canaanland. They are. Because at this time, they were tying themselves to Temple Number 1 under an individual by the name of Arnie Bay. They were tying themselves to, and this is through other individuals in their crew, not necessarily this individual, but individuals down with them. We're speaking with this individual about getting a charter or whatever, and the concept is that if this is the idea or the logic that they had, that we call ourselves Temple Number 5. So because we call ourselves Temple Number 5, they can go to people and say that they're Temple Number 1, and then they'll be the authority, because 1 is before 5. But it doesn't really go like that in Moor Science temples. There's Temple Number 77 that's been around since the 70s. So somebody says Temple Number 1 to number 77, the individual, a smart person is going to say, okay, well, let's check the timeline to see how long these people have been around, to see who's legitimate or who's illegitimate. I'm not going to go by the numbers. These guys call themselves Number 1, so they're Number 1 for real. Like that's the level of their logic, right? So they run into these individuals, and then because of our pressure on exposing these individuals, because these individuals were selling charters, so they don't want to feel foolish if they say, well, we are Temple Number 1 or whatever like that. The thing that we got on them is that obviously they bought their charter. If they're saying that they're Number 1 now. Which again, if they, because Moor Science stuff, they don't sell charters. As soon as somebody's talking about they're gonna, oh yeah, you want to be more centers, buy a charter from us. That's a money grab. But charters aren't sold. So they figure, okay, we're not gonna even deal with whatever. So they were saying that they're Number 1. And because they were Number 1, RVB should be dealing with them instead of dealing with us. And obviously, because of our affiliation, RVB called us like, hey, who these guys, whatever. Found out that those are the guys. So now they got another strike. Because they got the tribunal strike, they found guilty. Then they got the strike that, well, hey, the people who are the Number 1 facilitators of Moorish information now also don't want nothing to do with them. Right? Now so they got struck down with this. Before we even get to what's going on right now, was it you that talked to the lady with the 1,000? Mm-hmm. All right, so you put that, or you got.
But I just wanted to go back to the tribunal. Not only did we have people who were actually testified to the fraud, at that point, we also had someone who was up there for $1,000. Wasn't that also the person who didn't show up that spoke on it? There was someone who'd been taken for $1,000, remember? At the tribunal, right? At the tribunal, there not only was Supreme spoke.
Yeah.
Supreme was the one who
Supreme spoke, Rennie spoke.
Right, but then there was also someone else who had that was part of it.
Was that with the European or
I think not that one there, but there was someone else who had been taken for $1,000.
Oh yeah, right.
No,
yeah.
it was someone else.
No, there was somebody else that got hit for $1,000. And that's if you go to Canaanland Moors, it was a system. Canaanland Moors, I think it's called dereliction of duty. And Morehouse Lawyers Exposed. And we did the phone conversation with the sister who got hit for the $1,000. She didn't pay, but somebody else she knew paid.
Right. The reason why we're speaking to this is because what we understand is this is about uplifting our nation. So that if anyone's in here taking this kind of finance and then not giving them, because remember what we told you is that if any finance is being extracted for this, it automatically spiritually breaks the power behind this. So what we realize is not only is he doing dirt, but he's actually doing worse dirt, right? He's actually sort of, it's like a secondary, it's another level beyond that.
Right.
So that's where that was. So at that point, that was his biggest windfall was this $1,000, right?
No, it was the European first. Remember, the European was $5,000.
Was she part of the tribunal too?
Yeah, the European is why we did the tribunal. But remember, that's what we found about the $5,000.
Right.
And then
It was only those ones that spoke.
Yeah, it was Rennie and them that spoke.
Right.
And then we had the paperwork that they sold to her for the $5,000 that had his signature on it, captain's signature on it, or whatever. Right. That was what we were using as our evidence to show how much of a fraud that they were. Right. And then the $1,000 one came after that, after we did the tribunal or whatever, when we realized that they're still doing it, but at least the price went down. Right. And then just whatever it was that you 4 weeks ago. Yeah. Just talk about me too.
I later recognized me because of my face.
Let's say it again.
She started talking like 4 weeks ago, maybe. After class, and I'm heading to my domicile, and I later recognized me by the face, and she started a conversation with me. And she brought him up. And she told me that one of her either sister or close relative already paid him $1,000, still going on, and waiting for her stuff. She too was gonna pay, but she said she's waiting till she get hers, then she will after. And while I was talking to her, she get a text, and she showed me on her phone with him, on her phone, that they having a meeting at the hotel at Wilson and Jane, inviting her to the meeting. And that's just 4 weeks ago, so he's still.
It bothers me, because I think like, what are you saying for me to give you that? To give on my feel like that?
No, there's something.
Is it like a big, like when they have these certain pyramid scheme type of stuff,
Yeah,
big
yeah.
seminars, and they
Yeah.
sell, like, is that the type of stuff you're doing?
No, like
Because it's serious. Because how are you shutting out that type of fiat and like, and then after, has there been any type of resolution for any of these people who shut out?
not anybody who we know.
That's why this girl now want to talk to me. She's waiting. She wants to
That's
do
why I
something,
asked, but she's waiting, so I'm like,
But I haven't heard from her since. but she's
anybody
waiting.
got a resolution? And then when you're going into it, aren't you gonna do a little background check to say if who has got some type of resolution or anything? Or some remedy from it?
But that's the thing with desperate people. Desperate people, they ain't asking them questions. They just hear that they can get off of whatever. And
That's why I want to ask Randy, like when after you had that experience and it was bad, what made you even say you're gonna like come here to deal with the same type of people possibly? Like what directed you this way?
Well, you just like you said, seeing and knowing how wide open.
So when you're on YouTube probably like looking at certain classes or somewhere.
No, because Tyreek, brother at Bloomington, and when at first when Cujo, we were trying to set up to have an electric Cujo, come down to Canaanland.
Or then before you met.
Yeah. Oh, this is when he was doing the introduction of.
Yeah, because
So
the crystal thing.
you met him through the
Through the crystal thing, yeah.
Lecture down in Hamilton. Like when we had the first lecture,
Okay, I never saw that.
Shut the nerves. Shut the nerves.
Not too much.
I met him at the lecture.
Or at that
I came
lecture.
down at the lecture, and he was like, he's gonna be doing the instructional lectures. Crystal, somebody else, sweet. That was it. That was that day when he had the earpiece in his ear as if he was CIA agent.
And then after that, when he started separating, when you build them a bit on something.
you know what? He came down to like he come down to Hamilton to know us. I was wondering like yeah, come to Hamilton. I'm like, why? He's like, yeah, we down here. I have a lot of people down here. So that's all right. And then sometimes I read something, you know, and that's when other people wanted to know the information too. And I looked at him as like, you know, like he's coming down to Hamilton and Hugo's not there to come to Hamilton. I'm like, wow, like I'm still a student learning and he's like he knows it all. And you know, I'm like, all right. So I brought him over to the coffee shed, you know, like his house, and you know, they all got the rosters, you know, the elders, they all playing dominoes and chill. I know his older heads want to know the information, so I brought him over there with Harry. But we go to bed, feel all nice. One thing led to another A-Rap brother who brought here, the A-Rap brother, he got ripped off. He got him some paperwork. He brought up his paperwork. It was just a mess. It was just, he just clearly just was not for, you know, for the nation. You know, there was no, so I just knew that. You know, I just from there I knew, okay, doing that. And, you know, this is going on with our temple. Like, you know, and that's when I knew, from that point, I knew when the Arab brother called me, he goes, "Yo, Rennie, what's going on? You know, I haven't heard from the brother. He's supposed to bring down the paperwork and correct it because he messed up on the writing." So, and I was like, "Yo, honestly, like you guys, after that, they introduced him. I didn't have no hands to do it after, you know. It was Carrie going doing his thing with them two. Like it wasn't like the Arab was calling me or Camry was saying I'm coming down or what. Yeah, I had no clue, right? It's good we know these things, you know. Like I said, it's good to know these things.
Yeah,
now we know
it's part of the history.
Like, and I had another thing to add to that too. The brother here I brought from Hamilton, done that brother. He's been on information, you know. He has our information from RB Day. But one thing that resonated with him was there's the nationality cards. He was looking into the nationality cards. You know what, how it goes when everybody sees that we have our own ID, our own ID cards. But I want to get that, right? So he's seen another brother, the USAR brothers. Yeah. The one with the barcode on the nationality card.
Okay, yeah. I think he's not USAR, but yeah, he's just another one out there.
There's another one out
there. Just
another. So yeah, he kind of swindled the brother here, you know. Yeah. So it's just it's good to know the good Moors are and the dirty Moors are, you know. So it's not that.
And it's that same thing, like, you know, if it's getting played and not saying nothing, that's the issue. Because then these people that stay out here doing what they do. You know what I mean? So like, you know, like for example, like the reason for the tribunal, like the lady was at the temple, she was outside crying her eyes out.
Yeah, I want to speak to that.
She was terrible.
I was here. I spent an hour and a half outside. People outside telling me to shush.
Push the door a bit.
It was a terrible experience to watch this happen. To watch this lady here, and this is what I think Lenny was speaking to. There would be one thing. There would be one thing to maybe giving the paperwork and it being proper.
Yeah.
But it's a whole other thing to be taking the finance and then the paperwork being absolutely not up to snuff.
Yeah.
And stuff not even being something that can hold up. It's one thing to be charging for the proper stuff and not being right, but it's another thing to not even like the paperwork being absolutely fraudulent, not covering,
just not being up to par, not being what you would expect from somebody who says there's, especially if you're buying the papers, especially if you're buying, there should be a certain standard or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, certain things shouldn't just be going out with the paper, but all types of stuff, spelling errors, different fonts, whatever like that, all types of stuff, right? So
you basically chased them out to Brampton, right?
So from the tribunal they got chased out to Brampton, and then they were still running their little game over there. Brother Moor just told us about the other $1,000 people who they already paid already, and they're still waiting for their stuff. They haven't even gotten their stuff. Right, that's most recent. So when it was brought to our attention that because of the situation that happened with a sister and these Moors just happened to be in the discussion or whatever, we did some more research, and we found out and we found out that we're not sure when it started, but as of right now, they're at 2569 Eglinton West, which is just right down there. Just right down the street. This is where they're at now. Right? They're here on
The sign is down.
Monday.
The sign is down. It says closed.
Monday, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. is where they're at now.
Hey,
Oh yeah, yeah,
believe me, say that's a good point. That's where they can go to get their money.
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anybody who got robbed, here's where they're at. 2569A. That's looking after that. Now another thing Brother Tej just brought up as well is before we did the tribunal, we got a letter from the Law Society.
All right.
And the Law Society sent us a letter.
So this was after the tribunal.
No, wasn't that part of the
It had to
evidence
be
that
after the
we?
tribunal. Over the prop, it was after the tribunal. So, definitely after the tribunal.
Yeah, it was after the
Yeah, it was
tribunal.
after. Yeah, it was after. It was after. After the
whole
tribunal,
court
yeah.
thing, 'cause
Yeah, yeah.
they're going to
But they were
court.
going to court still after. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so they were going to courts, so-called courts, and they were actually representing people like lawyers. So the Law Society called us to say, well,
claiming to be part of our
claiming to be affiliated with us in some ownership. Yeah, after they got excommunicated from us. So the letter came by just saying that they wanted to qualify, where our bar cards were and are we registered with the Law Society, because we have members who are in the courts acting like lawyers and attorneys, and they're representing people and all this type of stuff, right? So we sent them the letter. Now we have nothing to do with them. Send them whatever evidence we had that these people are criminals or whatever like that. Whatever you guys want to do them. Don't ever send anything here again relative to those people, because we have nothing to do with those people. Nothing, no connection whatsoever. So we find out that they're down the street Monday and Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Now, when we went by the place is half this, maybe a quarter of this. So it's hard to think it's classes that they have going on there, right? Like there's no way that they're having classes up in there unless their classes are 4 or 5 people or something like that, right? That could be just their office or whatever, where they sit and pretend like they got something going on or whatever like that, right? Because when you go there, they have there's like some products out, and they have stuff on the wall, and a flat screen in there and all that stuff.
Natural chips, that's all.
Yeah.
Have that for a period of time, and then they bring some pomegranate juice. It's like one product.
Yeah.
All the time, you alternate between.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably from concentrate too. Right. So we were building on it with them being at this location, is them really just trying to jack the energy, because they already know Monday, Tuesday we're not around here. But Yasun was saying that, hey, they could be standing in front of the spot, just waiting for people with the fez on. As soon as, hey, there's more sign, no, it's down there, go down to that spot down there.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, no sign.
Yeah.
But we were saying that too, that they could have did that when we didn't have this, when the sign was worn out.
Only 2 weeks ago.
Right? It was only 2 weeks ago we put the sign up. So during that time frame, you know, they could have been diverted.
Because unless you go right up to the front, the old sign, you're not going to see the writing. From a distance, you look like a whiteboard.
Right. So this is also with resurrecting this, right? Also resurrecting this. It's also to bring the concept up again. Brother Omar was talking about this, about getting back to basics and going back to Holy Quran of Moor Science Temple, Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood, 101 questionnaire, oral statements, Divine Constitution and bylaws, Zodiac Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America Republic.
And also going back to the principle that I came under this movement, and which is what the prophet said, is that you're here to do all old business in your old name. You do all new business that is required, or your nationality is required, or your appellation is required, to put your new name there. So ultimately, trying to then take this system, your nationality, to apply it to stuff that you were doing in your straw state is not what this is really about. Because remember, before this, we would have just kept operating. So what we've got to see this as seeing this as an evolution, and see this from the perspective that, okay, I've got some shit over here that I got to deal with. Now let me deal with it like that. And then looking at this as how am I going to come together with my nation to build something new? Because ultimately, and this is what I thought about just a week ago, even if I use this to get out of whatever the hell else it is that I'm doing, where am I going to go back to? If I've got nothing new to go to, which is my nation, then I'm still going to come back.
You'll have to come back
So
anyway.
ultimately, spiritually, they've got you. Until you understand that it's about bringing this up so that we're all living. The prophet also said we all got to be living in an area. Think about this: Chinatown, little sort of Hindustan. They all live in their area. That gives them strength. We live in our areas, but we are de facto and we are straw, so we don't have that power. But ultimately, really what this is about is uplifting yourself from this point on to bring your nation up. We are the nation builders right now. But it's not about taking this and having your nationality to try and get out of something, because the de facto is still going to say, who do you got backing you? Where's your nation state? So ultimately, we have to see that. And that is what has been impressed upon me, that until we, I don't know if someone touched the plug there, until we see that that's what this is really about, we're still not there yet. If it's trying to get off on some traffic stuff, or trying to do some other stuff, it's really still going to be clipped. We have to see this about how we can keep coming here and keep doing something more for our nation from that perspective, whereby they have to respect us from our power of who we are as a collective, not from some granted thing that they're going to give you. Because who are we connecting back to? Is it to Africa, which is a continent? Is it to whatever? No. So it has to be about where's your Moorish nation? Where's your Moorish state? Where are your Moorish leaders? So until we become that, everything else is a facade.
And again, it's not like you can't use this like that, right? You can do your own diligence, and you can have a situation and use this information and get out the situation. But that's based on your due diligence. That's not because, well, that guy over there said that guy and those guys did it this way, so I'm going to just do it this way, and then that's how we're going to get out of it.
Copy paste.
Copy paste, right? Copy paste enter, right? That's not how it works in reality. right? Because like we're saying, these individuals who are claiming to have some type of authority, they already know certain things already. So as soon as you say yesterday you're black, today you're a Moor, these people know you're playing. And you're trying to get out of something or whatever like that, that, you know, like Omar saying, with with Brother Supreme, that, you know, you could have just gave the license and you wouldn't have got kidnapped and all that stuff. They wouldn't, you know, even though they dismissed it and they let you go anyways, at the inception of the situation, they said, give me a license. But you don't want to give it because you're a Moor. But the license is in good standing. You don't got no tickets. There's not no issues. You could just give the license.
And then, sorry to just cut you further than that, if you say that you're standing as a Moor, and if you haven't gotten to the level of understanding that what you're directly telling those people is that you sort of are their sworn enemy, from the perspective that they're going to keep you in a slave state, then you better understand that they're going to look to slap you twice.
Maybe 4 times.
As a Moor. So if you don't understand that what you really want to do, and we've said this before, this is going back to basics. Remember this, the so-called police or the policy enforcers, they're the lowest of the low. They're the guys who only need a grade 11 or a grade 12 education. You don't want to be dealing with those guys. They do psychological profiles. You become a cop because you have a certain profile, not because of a certain intelligence level. It's because you listen to things, but you're not going to question things. That's how you become a police officer. So if you think you're going to be able to reason with this guy on the street about something, you're going to be sadly mistaken. Now you may get lucky, because remember, people are people, they're studied. But as a policy, for that guy to keep his so-called JOB, he's got to follow the policy. So if you think you're going to go in there and somehow give him some stuff, you're sadly mistaken. So we keep telling people the best thing to do is get by with the thug get out of the alley with the thug, and then get at least to one of the intellectual guys. That's because you're, remember, now on an intellectual level. He's trying to do intellectual stuff with a guy who's not intellectual. So your whole standing is off. Your whole the way you're going about it is totally not the right way to do that, for lack of a better sort of diction. So you want to basically look to get out of those situations with those guys who are walking with guns, looking to off you, and then get to the Masons, who are really on your sides.
Any
touch on what Brother Supreme situation.
Yeah.
It was funny because him and I were talking earlier today on the phone. And he was saying the same thing. Why would I want to get hemmed up? So he knows, you know, like he went through it at first, you know, because knowing about it at first, you know, he knew that he had that right and exercising it, and so he knew how it went. It's funny, we were literally talking about this thing. He's like, man, honestly,
bro, that's why there are no coincidences.
Yeah, man. He was literally saying, like, yo, honestly, like, I have even though I still have, like, I'm still in exercise my right, it's still in a safeguard. So when if it comes up to last resort,
then that's when you
justice, right?
That's when you drive.
Principles, right? Justice. So last resort, he has if they start to drag him out, oh, here you go, you know, like they'll just pull out the card, right? Because he can't ace it. Yeah, you know.
And again too with the whole concept of the and all old business, leave it as it is, all new business doing your free national name. This is where it comes into the learning to live within contracts. So that the concept of I know this information, but I'm not applying it yet doesn't discourage you. Because people think that because they have a license, they're not a Moor. Because they have a passport, they're not a Moor. Because somebody said black and looked at them, oh, that means they're talking to them and they're trying to, it might not be that serious. Like, it might just be somebody ignorant that you're dealing with, that they don't know anything. So they're going based on what they know. But if you know how to live within contracts, then you know that if paper says black and they say sign here, all rights reserved, without prejudice, blah, blah, you sign. And get whatever it is that you're going to get from them. And you know you reserved your rights. So like what you're saying, you can go back. If something really goes down, you can say, oh, bring that contract back that you guys say we have together. See right there, all rights reserved. Well, the rights that I reserved, my right to a nationality, here's my nationality. I'm standing on this now. Forget
That's exactly what happened.
forget papers that we signed together.
When they kidnapped me and my boy, that's what we had to do. We just reserve our right because they're trying to get the straw name on us.
Right.
Okay, bring it up.
Bring it.
It's my straw name.
And I already know it's not. I already know it's not me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So we reserve our rights and they let us go.
Right.
And then when we go to court, they can't come.
Then you deal with it when
go.
court comes. You know, and going
They
back
can't
to
show up. No,
what Omar is saying about not dealing with these people on the street corner, because you don't know who these people are. These people could be mercenaries from some other country. They don't even speak English. What impropriate? What? What are you talking about? Where's your license? That's all they know. Well, oh, here's my license. That's the only response they know. Any other response? They don't understand English. Get out the car.
You want to know a funny thing? There is this one now that he said he's from Jamaica. And I'm telling him, my card, I'm telling him, this is my right to travel. I'm not traveling. He said, no, friend. I have relatives in America. And they have to have license. He's from Jamaica. He's a highwayman here.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, because we're talking like Jamaican.
Yeah.
He said, no, man, my people are over USA. All of them have license. How come you're American and you don't have license? How come you're American and you don't have a license? So you still have when you're going to take a while for you.
Yeah. It's not registering tomorrow.
No. It's because, in other words, she said, we are Jamaican now, so we're talking. And I said, I'm American. I said, but all my family in America, they have license.
Yeah.
All of them have license. Even the Scooby-Doo.
Omar.
I also wanted to, because this is, as we say, going back to basics, you can also see this from another perspective, just like he's talking about so-called Jamaica, which is democracy. Whenever I come across a fellow so-called Jamaican, I talk to him about the Maroons.
Yeah.
Everyone who's an immigrant here has some cultural, indigenous people that you can find some commonality with. That they'll go, yeah, okay. So you can take these positions, you can take these times also from a position like one of our master teachers, Saj, says, to educate someone. So it can also be done while you're sitting in the back of the cruiser, right? All handcuffed, where you can say, hey, and start breaking some shit down.
Break some stuff down.
That's what I did.
From a real sort of level. And this is the other part that I think this is where it's spiritual. And ultimately, this is what that's about. This is like the virus. Each time, it's not about smashing someone's head. It's about sort of sitting down and saying, hey, that there's some indigenous people here, right? Well, it wasn't only the Indians, eh? And so just planting that shit, because ultimately that's going to connect with other shit, because the truth never changes. So even if they want to deny it there, they may be talking with one of their boys back at the bar. Oh yeah, these guys said,
I got stuff like this.
But they're right.
Yeah.
So what will happen is this stuff will go like that, but we have to have that mindset. The mindset has to be there. And this is where we're trying to get back to, because what we've been seeing now in the last little bit is that we have gotten away from that. And people thinking that these writs are gonna do all this stuff, and it's not. It's really about coming to your class, and it's about asking yourself remember, this is why everything's connected. It's like the president said, that's not what your nation can do for you, but what you can do for your nation. So what are we gonna do for our nation? And it's not about going to another nation to get them to give you something. Right. Because they ain't going to give you SHIT, especially when especially when you're the base of their profit.
Yeah. And we're the base of their profit because we don't have nationalities and we call ourselves black and we call ourselves all these other stuff when other people, they're basing it on their interaction with
everything else,
with the
everywhere else,
colonies.
everyone's dealing with national stuff except us who's dealing with straw stuff. Yeah. And then we want national protection.
For a straw. Yeah.
We're calling us a straw.
Yeah. So I want to add to that. When you put that thing up for the mayor, when he was doing the whole Earth Week thing, the part where he said private citizen, I just have to replay that a few times because it's just like that. That's private stuff. That's private mayor.
What he said, he's a private citizen, right? Yeah. You know, like things like that.
Yeah.
They're living in their, doing their stuff. While we're here still playing straw man game, you know? And private is not straw. You know? Well, yeah, well, you're absolutely right. He's putting a jurisdictional thing to that by saying that he's a citizen, which doesn't make him a national. He's one down from a national.
Yeah.
Huh? He's still, he's got granted rights versus being the national, which is the land, right? A citizen is someone who's been allowed something. The national is the du jour. So a citizen is still someone, right? Then there's subject and alien. But by him saying he's a private citizen, he's taking himself out of that corporate stuff in a language sense.
Yeah.
Remember, he's probably got a fez too. Well, he does.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions or other comments? Please put them up. Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Yesterday I went to
A little louder. So.
Yeah, sorry.
So he knocks up a lady and asks me, who are you? And the lady said, but I'm a stranger. He said, but I'm Doral. And he said, oh, then I'm Sophia. And then we went around more time to meet him again. He said, he would take off the fence, put it back on. So he said, oh, is that a fence you're wearing? You know who he was? He said, yes. But then he told me, oh, but I wanted to claim my nationality, but I don't know how to tell them about it. Yes, Doral is the one that making these connections.
Go Doral.
Doral, yeah, who's Doral? Where's Doral? I see.
That's it, bro. That's it.
Right. And then again, that's going back again to the thing of back to basics. That this is for the young and unborn. It's not even our stuff.
I'm saying, don't ask Moors out here doing shit.
Nothing. Nothing. All right. If you go to personally, I don't watch Vlad TV or whatever, but somebody sent this one. There was a video talking about Big U on getting 56 years in prison, extra time for Farrakhan friendship. Big U on getting 56 years in prison, extra time for Farrakhan friendship. And they're stating that at somewhere around the 3-minute mark, he's talking about the maximum sentence, which was in his transcript for introducing gang members to Islam by meeting Minister Farrakhan. So keep in mind that it's
Who's that brother again?
Big U, whoever the hell that is. I never heard that individual before.
This is recent?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. There's no date for the video. Big U getting 56 years in prison. Remember that always, regardless of whatever they say, however they present, whatever, Nation of Islam came out of Moor Science Temple. Period.
Like 1930s.
Directly came out of. Right? They weren't their own, 1930. They weren't their own entity in 1930 or in 1929, 28, 27, 26. They were part of something else. When Noble Drew Ali transitioned, there was many things that came up out of him not being in power anymore and people losing their mind because their prophet died. Some people stayed with the program. Some people said, you know what, we're not even going to be part of this anymore. We're going to go over here and we're going to do our own thing, call something different or whatever. Some people said that their Noble Drew Ali come again. Some people said that God sent them and whatever. This is all after Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey. So when you hear them talk today, and they're making it seem as if you know, they're doing their whatever. They came out of our stuff. Fruits of Islam is the muftis. The problem book is the 101 questionnaire. They used to wear fezzes. They do the suit stuff because it came from Drew Ali. They do their women's whatever with the Nation of Islam. That's the women's auxiliary from the Moor Science Temple, right? Farrakhan not being X55X or whatever because he got his holy name because name correction came out of Moor Science Temple. That's what they were taught, right? They played the X, put the X on your name because they kept the holy names or the spiritual names for people who were considered the ones in the know, the leaders or whoever. Those guys would get you know, Ali, El, whatever name, Shabazz, whatever. Any Nation of Islam who you see that doesn't call themselves X something, 13X or whatever like that, know that they know about name correction. They probably know about Moors. They probably know about connection, Noble Juali and all that. And then all the other people who say that they're X, those people are the ignorant ones that really don't know. Even if they're out there talking like they know. If they're saying that they're X and they know that when they go into that organization, they're supposed to get rid of that slave name and replace it with an X. And then when you go through your problem book and you pass all your lessons, that X gets replaced by a real name. And they're not doing that. And we have these people 50 years, they're X. Somebody's playing these people. Because Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay didn't wait 50 years for his Ali. Right? Elijah didn't wait for his Muhammad. Right? You had something over?
Just speaking with she and I who have been speaking with that Empress up the street there. She'd been talking about, she had been with the Nuwapians.
Yeah.
And she was saying that how come these groups, there's always these two tiers with these levels.
Yeah. Where
there's the lower level, I guess, where you're the payee, and then there's a higher level, which I think speaks to, we're talking about most of these other groups too, that always have this graduated system where you're sort of
the hierarchy.
The hierarchy this is about.
Yeah.
The true movement allows everyone to be a god or goddess.
Right. So again, this question relative to back to basics. How can I do name change declaration without going to court? Any Moors in here did name change without going to court or name correction? You want to put it? Yeah, just how because you know the idea is that somebody said you got to go to court to be a Moor or whatever to this individual. So you know, obviously somebody's relaying wrong information. No, yeah, I'm asking. So whoever, yeah, you know, whoever.
Whatever you're doing, whatever we have dealings with, just tell them in written form what it is. That's it.
And I'll add to that, just declare it under your heart.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need a court. You have a simple.
I am that I am.
You know, you don't. That's going back to the legal stuff, as you say now, right? The stuff now you're basically going to them to get acceptance. Why do they don't like I was just watching a lecture the other day, and they were saying basically like there's no need for them to go to anything. They can't give us anything.
Right. Ultimately.
That's where having your own nation what it's about.
Right.
You then go into your nation and you don't have it to answer to anyone else. That's our problem. The problem is that we are too fractured and we keep looking for acceptance from something
From
out
somebody else.
there, rather
Yeah.
than inside.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have nothing inside, then you're going to take
Then
what's
you're gonna
there.
take what you get.
So
But
the answer to
that's
this
not
is
the way to
build
go.
up your own stuff.
Didn't she have a lecture on this there like a couple days ago about the registrar and why like,
Yeah, somebody else asked it. Yeah. Anybody else with the?
The brother here had
Yeah, if any new people, if you got any questions, feel free to just put those up and we'll.
But just a quick announcement, I'm gonna send out an email about the committees this week. So look to that, and that'll just give you a brief outline of what the committees are about, and then you send me back your information. Right.
This is again with regard to USAR and just how fraudulent they are. There was a letter from the Office of the Secretary of State dated April 10th, 2017. And it was with regard to United States of America Republic Corporation, an Indiana nonprofit corporation, appellation for authority to conduct affairs in Illinois. All right. Pursuant to the Act, which is the General Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, nonprofit corporations can be organized for any one of a number of enumerating purposes. The purpose of the corporation in question is stated as, this state government is invested with the powers and authority to create and enforce laws and impose taxes, include protection of lives and property by maintenance of a police force, the creation of a state government with the power and authority stated in the corporation's purpose clause is beyond the scope and authority of any not-for-profit corporation. Further, the purpose is not one of the enumerated purposes set forth in the Act. Second, the name of the corporation is not acceptable in the state of Illinois. Section 150.465 of the Illinois Administrative Code states, no name may falsely imply governmental affiliation. The name of your corporation is almost identical to the name of this country, which is the United States of America. Moreover, the United States of America is a republic. Merely adding the word corporation onto the name of this country doesn't make it a corporation. So even the Secretary of State, where they're going to register and do business and say that that's who the authority is for, them to do whatever it is that they do, are saying that just the name that you're using alone can't be used because that's the name of the country. You can't call your nonprofit corporation the name of the country. Like it's not feasible to do that. This is the Secretary of State saying that. And it's in written form. So how are they still doing business? How are they still doing any type of activity under this name when the people who they went to get permission to use the name are telling them, no, you can't use that name. And they're using it still. Right? And again, this is information that's public record. Right? Jesse White, Secretary of State, Office of the Secretary of State. You can go to him and he'll probably send you a copy of the letter to show you that these people are fraud.
Well, I
think a lot of what's going on is that we're not, a lot of things are being enforced, but without any kind of pushback from the nation.
Mhm.
Like, for example, every legal, bill, acts, et cetera, is published in the Ontario Gazette.
Right.
But are any one of our members privy or actively reading these things? So we can, before the third reading and the assent is done, we are pushing against all this stuff that they're trying to put out and stick to the name, because stick to us, or stick, because at the end of the day we have to determine we're not a legal person. That's already established. We're not legal persons, we're Moors, and we have our nationality. But all the government has been trying to do is put us under the legal person standing,
Right.
and enforcing all of their laws and legal whatever. So it's like, at this point, we have to be active. We have to be active. We have to be knowledgeable as much as possible in not just announcing our nationality, but being aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, to touch on that, maybe being part of the election, because we're supposed to, like sister, I don't want to be calling you out, but it's part of the election committee.
Yeah.
It's something that we're supposed to be part of.
Right. Yeah.
We're supposed to know how that's run. Like, you're not know what you say is going to be the European here long enough.
Yeah.
That's how I want to go.
Yeah.
Right?
And again, too, like what Brother Omar is saying, the things that we have been shown, like what Sister's saying, it's about implementing these things. We can be showing stuff, we could have stuff all we want, but the implementation of it is what's going to actually make it be something that's working. Unless we start implementing it, it's just info. It's just a compilation of information we got about something, But yeah, and again too, the activity is gonna come out of, things like the committees. Everybody being part of committee. The committees coming amongst themselves and saying, hey, you know what? We're doing whatever. You want the Moors to come out support because the committee's doing it. Then all the Moors should go support the whatever because the committee's doing the thing. You know what I mean? But everybody has to be in the committee. The committee has to have people that are involved with it in order for it to do the magic that it's supposed to do. All right?
And it's not all all on the committee. Like, we are ourselves. Just read the newspaper. Be in the know.
Yeah.
Don't leave the know just up to one
Right.
group. As a collective, we have to be in it.
Yeah.
And that strengthens our arguments and everything else. Just to say, like, this person that they're trying to stick us under, we are persons.
Yeah.
It's all a part. It's like, right now, AI is now considered a person. A company is now a person. And right now, they're trying to make two chimps. I can't put it right here. It was called Kiko and someone else. Some other two chimps.
Yeah.
Apes. They're trying. No, two apes, two chimpanzees. They're trying to make persons under the law.
Yeah.
So they can be free from
whatever abuse
right now
they go through.
so there's a person named them person. These are, anthropologists are
That's
writing
crazy.
in,
That's crazy.
philosophers are writing in. Everybody,
To try to
they
make
put in writ.
monkeys people so that they could have rights and not be in a zoo or whatever.
Just tying back to there.
Yeah. They're bringing the family back home.
Actually happening right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, once you make it a person, I'm sorry, I'm not in that group of persons right
now, but definitely, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. If it goes there, yeah.
Because that's not me. I'm not a part of that.
Yeah. Being a person is, that's a little much. That is crazy.
by an AI is now like they govern whatever her name is, Lucy or whatever her name is, a person. Like, how? How can a machine be a person?
Right.
But it is. Like let that be a person, okay, but not me. You
Yeah.
can't. You can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Last question that we got, and if anybody else has any, you could throw them up. Brother Padilla sent, I have a question on C. Freeman L. Why did he wear a fez with markings on it or a Freemason's fez? Knowing all about the meaning of our national headdress and what the Freemason's fez is and their meaning on the fez, please let me know. So one of the aspects that people forget with regard to masonry is that the Masons didn't pick up that stuff from nowhere. Somebody put them onto info. Somebody put them onto fezzy. Somebody put them onto calling their temples, you know, Arabic names and all these different stuff. When we see Moors, like, okay, we might see Moors with marked fezzes, and then automatically people go to, oh, that's Mason, oh, you can't listen or whatever like that, right? Yeah, but not really, because if we use somebody like CMB, for example, I don't think he's done a bad lecture yet, and he always had Mark Fez up. Majority of the time, he had Mark Fez up. So when you're getting the lessons, you know, go back to the Taj lesson about don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, because you know you're gonna lose out on more than you would if you would have just took in what was being relayed to you, even though the Fez was marked. Now when we go to, for example, Kirkman Bay, he's all over the FBI papers, all these different names and all that. And we know that he was part of the infiltration of the Moor Science Temple. So his track record of being dirty and having a marked fez is more on the line of where the question is. That yes, no Jolly told Moors don't mark their fez. But if there's such a thing as the Moorish Rite, which is, you know, Freemasonry for Moors, and Noble Drew Ali was affiliated with that, then the science that comes from Masonry is really our stuff. We already got the fez, we already got the whatever. So if somebody says mark fez on, but they're Moorish Rite, then it's not really marked fez in that perspective, because Moorish Rite was supposed to give us, the Moorish Rite was so that the Moors could have their connection to the lodges, just like Noble Drew Ali said, religious corporation, so the Moors could be tied to the corporation when they have to do certain activity. Same thing. Moors saying that they're got marked fezzes or whatever, what's their lessons? If their lessons is along the frequency that we know that it's supposed to be on, then all right. It's not really that these people are dirty because they have a marked fez or whatever. You know what I mean? They probably have more degrees than the individual without the marked fez, right? And then speaking about the marked fez, don't forget to get with Brother Abdullah Bey and with Moors and Masonry. Go to moorsandmasonry.org, and that'll give you a broader perspective of the connection that Moors have to Freemasonry. And then the other thing is that he just put out that his new book is coming out, Masonic Compass and the Square and their connection to measurement and timekeeping. Brother Abdullah Bey. Right, it's he's now accepting prepayment for the new book. It's 50 notes, Masonic Compass and the Square and their connection to measurement and timekeeping. You could contact him at 215-300-5471, 215-300-5471, or etymologyvocabulary@gmail.com. Etymologyvocabulary@gmail.com. Brother Omar, you wanted to put out the summer solstice info?
So we're having a summer solstice this year. It's going to be on the island. So I went and did a survey last week, and what I didn't realize is that on the island, it's a number of islands. There's Ward Island, Center Island. There's also Algonquin Island. I didn't know about. So if it's Algonquin, then it's ours, isn't it? It's all ours anyway. But if we're talking about Algonquin Island, and we do the knowledge, and we know that the Algonquin and Iroquois were confederacies. So if there's an Algonquin Island, it's ours. The plan is to get some free numbers from people. We're going to rent some water taxis. It's $10. We go across, we meet for lunch, and then we have a walk across the island. We do a little ritual in terms of beforehand, and then we walk across the island. I'm planning to bring a few Moroccan flags that we'll plant in a symbolic manner of us reclaiming it, and we can enjoy the rest of the time on the island. So that's June 23rd. I'm looking for next week to get the numbers so that we can sort of pre-book the taxis, because it's about 12 people to a taxi, rather than taking the ferry, which if anyone's gone there in the summer, I live down there, the lines go like, I'm talking 6 blocks. So what we do is I talk to the man, he's already on point, so we make our arrangements. What I'm looking to do is have one taxi leave at 11, one taxi leave at 11:30. We meet there for 11:45. We have our lunch 12 to 12:45. We'll walk from the spot. Well, I wrote it, but it says it's about 3 kilometers, which I figure is what? So whatever, 3 kilometers. But if you're breaking down the miles, around a mile, 2 miles, a mile and a half. And then there's a little jog onto Algonquin Island where we, as I said, plant our stuff. And that's what we're doing for the summer solstice. We also have the barbecue coming up July 14th, which will be at E.T. Seaton. E.T. Seaton, which is just down from Science Center.
Overly and Thornton. Domino's Overly.
Science Center. Science Center. And then lastly, Mocha and I, and possibly more importantly, the Women's Auxiliary, in conjunction with Omar, is thinking to, because I think if any of us understand this, for a lot of us, being somewhat having had more revolutions around the sun than others, that a lot of this we're doing for our offspring right here. But I think what we can understand, most of us, is that most of this comes from family. And I can speak for myself, that I come from a fractured family. So the triangle wasn't complete. And Mocha and I both discussed the fact that it's really about. Anyways, what we do. I gotta leave now.
So you set yourself up for that one.
All right, no, but you know what? I'll tell you what. Some of great, and I'm gonna give credit at least to KRS when saying this. You got to know where you're at to know where you're going.
Yeah.
You got to know exactly where you're at to know where you're going. So I know that I got lots of work to do. A lot of people don't even think they got work to do. So what Mocha and I want to do is we want to start up a committee conference. And we're going to make a Canaanland Moorish manual to relationships. And what we want to do is we want to bring everyone together, and we want to do some brainstorming and some building. And let us create a manual that we can hopefully pass on to the young ones and incorporate within ourselves so that we can keep these triangles going. Because remember, the triangle is the most powerful symbol in nature. So when that triangle is broken, and how many of us have come from broken triangle, this is what they've done. And that's, if any of us want to do the science, that's what the colonizer did. He broke the triangle, but still, remember, he still had mom there. So the triangle was still, at least those 2 components were there. And then the last part he did was he took mom out of the home. And that's why we're where we're at. So we're looking, hopefully, possibly, not hopefully, we are wanting people, or we're looking to see which people want to be involved in that process. And that's going to, all of this, as well as the newly formed sort of jurisprudence law department, will be starting up after the summer solstice. So we will, what will be happening is I will be deferring somewhat so to Mocha, but I will be her, and you can look to the chapters, master and servants, magistrate, and whatever. Well, yes, but importantly, some people have, in my perspective, I've talked to Mocha about this, and since she's the feminine energy, that it was sort of said that the women's auxiliary should just be for the women. But maybe I can maybe I can read this to Mocha with that, because I feel that there is not just one side, so it's not just the women. The women obviously have a component, so do the men.
Yeah, but that's fine. They can do that. So what needs to be done, the male aspect of that needs to exist.
Say that again?
The male aspect of that needs to exist.
Which is supposed to be the young businessman's league.
Yeah. So their principles needs to be whatever it is, along with the family structure that you're talking about. It was important that you said we all need to come together to have a structure of how family run. But the first and foremost important example is us. You can have all the literature you want,
but that's why
if
the
there's
symbols are
nothing to
there. The Tai Chi symbol is the black and that white going together. There's not one component. It's the unison, right?
Yeah, I understand. But what I'm saying is, well, I said going back to what you mentioned about all of us coming together and formulating how we think a family is to function or to stay together, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that's fair, but you can have that if there isn't any examples. That's for nothing.
Sorry, say that last part again.
If, like,
There's no reason.
No,
If
but
you
no,
don't see, if you don't see, like me, right? I look at my two parents as still together.
right. That doesn't.
And no, hear me. Whether positive, that's always in the relationship. Where you have to have something to compare. You can read all you want, right? But if you don't have a comparison, right? You get what I'm saying? So yeah, let's get together and do that. But we also have to take on the responsibilities as our, if you will, the first heads of the nation to set that precedence.
Well, and I agree with that to that extent. But what I know, when I was growing up, when I saw families that the parents were together, they always seemed to be more healthy. But what I've also known, I was talking to a European lady at the gym, she was saying a lot of those relationships were more messed up. That's why a lot of the relationships became fractured. Because finally, because what she was saying, she came from a European relationship where the woman was being beaten, but she had to stick around. So ultimately, those so-called relationships that stuck together didn't mean that they were healthy.
Yeah, but that's a different aspect, right? But
No,
it's a different, there's different layers. There's
Right,
different layers.
so here's what I'm saying.
The question is, okay, we can go into that, we can divulge into that. Then the question you should have asked is, why did they do that? What was the purpose and the reason behind? Though it was broken, they stuck together to make it look as if it is good. It's the same, we can sit here and say other nations have congruent relationships, but it might not be so. But from the onlooker, it looks that way, so you take it as that. What is the reason why they keep that facade going?
Well, yes.
Right? Because
So
sometimes that
anyways,
plays a positive role.
right. So this is what I'm saying. It is about us getting together in that, under that sort of paradigm platform to try and move forward. And we're talking about sort of brainstorming. We're talking about, hey, even a person who's dysfunctional can know what's right. So it doesn't have to mean that we have to have some perfect relationship with them. We can sit down together and all of us as intelligent Moors can say, okay, this is what makes a good relationship. You don't have to see that, but you know what that takes. For example, a good relationship takes a man not beating a woman. A good relationship takes a woman not beating a man. I don't have to see that to know that, but we should have that stuff laid out there to a certain extent. And I think it's important. Because as I was saying to Mocha, the only stuff I see sometimes, and when I see, for example, for the feminine energy, you go get these magazines, all of them have some woman on there about the 10 best sex tips and 10 best orgasms in it. Right? So what we had, remember, I will put this one out that. Chapter 3, I want a tight mind, not a tight ass. That's chapter 3. Right? Sorry, anyways. Sorry for the language. But that is an example of where I see this going. Right?
Yeah. No, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so did you want to respond to it?
No, I just made a joke and said because the women know sex.
But no, sorry. So let me cut you on that one. And where my feeling is on this. This is the sense I get. Remember, woman is goddess. So ultimately, she always has that power. That's what she has. But what has happened is the attack really hasn't been against the man, even though the attack has been against the man. The real attack has always been against the woman. But that attack has come through the man. So that to me is where this is at. Because it's really about the woman that this attack has been. Because she is God. I think Todd said it best. It's like the Europeans, they're devouring the children. Why doesn't he just devour the woman? Because woman is goddess, so he can't do that. So what's happened is we have gotten away from that. As our culture, we got to bring our feminine energies back to where they're at and show them that. Sue and I can talk with you. We just met on Milwaukee and whatever, and he and I both saw the language. We just started. Right? Well, she's not even that, but we could. But I'm saying she's one. Remember this: whether you say you're a Moor or not, if you got this in here, you're a Moor, right? So she can be she can be what you call a dirty Moor, or or I call them an unawakened Moor, rather than an awakened Moor. But they're still a Moor, and those are the ones that we got to go and get. That's what this has always been about. When I started to say to Mocha that we realized this, because we were talking about this, that we need to, I think we need to start having that. Because some of us are going to be passing sooner than later, and it's about the offspring. And we should have that stuff. And we should be imprinting that in them. And having them have those manuals. What's a good relationship? I'm going to get a guy who wants to work, not a thumb.
I don't know if it was done, but I want to give a hand to the sisters. I'm just thinking about her, like, she's so
it's crazy.
disconnected on certain levels because it's every reason that you can think why somebody doesn't like her more. She has that reason.
But then she's hating the European.
Yeah, no, down to yeah, like
no,
why,
that
why
was, she's
guys,
like, I hate all
are you guys
European.
involved in Europe? I can't accept them. I'm not sure, like, and then you agree with me, but then you're still back to it. It's like it's about energy. It's like I know everything about energy. I go with the form it comes in, not necessarily means it's in your favor. You know what I'm saying?
And we all know this. We see Europeans that are more helping us than some of our brothers. Yeah. And she admitted to that. Yet the problem is that she's so toxic, so toxified. You realize that if they get into certain, this is where the problem is. You get into certain of these groups, and the groups can mess them up even more, so to speak. She was part of the so-called Milwaukeeans.
Like, we're giving you guys a hand because you're here, not just because you're sisters. Because you're sisters and because you're here. This type of mind frame, this mentality, but everything else is saying the opposite. You know, so it's easy to stay with that. And if the majority of our people are calling ourselves black and saying this and that and they and most of these other conscious groups don't even adorn the feminine principle like
the way
that.
they should.
And we said they're still running to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, what we realized too, and we noticed this, every nation has basically used the power of the feminine energy. Any of those ones that are sort of succeeding, you always notice that the woman behind the scenes, or the feminine energy is behind the scenes running everything, but she just doesn't have that power.
Yeah.
So we've got to start turning that around if this is really what we're about. But yet again, if we're looking to get something from the European, he's using that science too.
And then, like, you guys have so much power, guys, so we're waiting for you guys to act on a certain level so we could just
And then
not really lay back, but wait for instruction and follow through. Like I said, like even time me just if the policy and forces pull me over, I'm by myself. It's way different than when I'm with my mom. So if I'm with my mom did that with me, I don't even care. I don't even have to say anything. They don't even. All right, you guys have a good day. Yeah.
You know, and mom.
No, young black nigger that they were gonna get to harass or something, but now I was like, oh my god, okay, this person is come how we were gonna come.
Switch up.
I'll play the game with you later now. You know? So you guys have an unsaid like they're so afraid of you guys without even doing anything.
And the elders of the feminine energy, that's the craziness. I'm talking to Mocha, but we realize because this is all about that. This is why we're here, right? It's all about the conflict, not told in words, right? And it's all about that possession. But I knew that.
Yeah, Rafa, and then Tez also. Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to add on to what everyone was saying that, well, expand a bit. It's more of individual. If you know your mess, if you know you have a bad attitude, that's what you have to fix first.
Yeah.
Because that's going to vibrate to everything, the situation you're on up. Yeah. So don't blame policy for pulling you over. You vibrate to the policy.
Yeah. You call
when I
them.
walk on the street, I don't have no problem.
No issues. Yeah.
Policy enforcement sees me and says,
They actually, when they see you of that energy, they actually turn away. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't want no part of you.
they say good morning and good evening.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
I'm just going straight.
I'm sure some of the time they look at you and they're like, I don't even want a part of that guy.
Yeah, they look and either they see the morning or they look away. They don't like
That's right.
look me down,
They don't do that look.
No, I don't play that.
Yeah.
Right? Because not because I'm big and bad, because letting you pushing out is what I want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like before we get into the so-called mothers and everybody else has to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay,
So I mean,
what am I? Who am I?
So watch. So maybe, as I said, this could be part. This is what I'm saying about the building on top of the committees. I think this is sort of philosophical stuff that we can start looking at. That can be outside of just this one particular 3-hour class that we're having. So I'm looking to start doing this on every other Saturdays. We can meet here. We can start that. Like you say, maybe we start with what Raphael is talking about. Let's start looking at ourselves. How many of us
should we do that?
Right. But let's say this, right? And how many of us do that? So how many times? Because we know this. A lot of times we know this. We need to be spoon fed.
Yeah, but Islam, I'll say that the Prophet, if you look in the literature, the information is there.
Huh?
That's it. When you look in the literature that the Prophet brought, the information is there for a person to look within. Right? Sometimes we just get caught up on the civic information or the historical information, and that's there too. But the Prophet did, in a circle setting, as well as holy instructions, as well as stuff that Taj and other Moors have brought, for one thing. And so I really want to second what Brother Rafa said. That's crucial, because it's not any big long search necessarily. You don't even really need information other than what you know about yourself and studying yourself. And then just to touch on the committees, to me, the women's auxiliary was always, the use of the word auxiliary always meant that it's women. If it was supposed to be something else, then it wouldn't have been called the women's auxiliary. I'm saying that's my perspective.
Well,
to do things that I totally agree with what Brother Omar is saying. That's if you want to make a separate committee or make it a project or make it whatever. The women's auxiliary is the women's auxiliary. Look at the Nation of Islam, which is, like you said, just a branch of the Moor Science Temple. They mastered that. Yeah. And the women, and whether it works really well for them or not, it works to a certain extent where the women do what they do. There's no man oversight as far as we can see, and they handle certain aspects of the business, specifically the finance. So, my perspective of women's auxiliary is just women.
Well, fair enough. As I said, I didn't take this on my own. I conferred with one of the elder women, and she spoke to seeing that as being something that she saw as being something that could work and should work. Because
let me just speak for myself.
Thank you.
Let me just address everybody. Right, you know, I agree with what you said 100%. We all need to start with ourselves. Because if yourself ain't right, you can't help nobody else get right. You can't help, I listen to Abraham sometimes. I need to. And one thing she always says, no matter how sick you get, you can't help someone else get well. No matter how poor you get, you can't help someone else other than harm, etc. So you have to be right before you can do anything for anyone else. And I was like, what's the point? As my brother said, it is important that we have role models that we're able to emulate.
us, as Brother Omar said, so many of us come from fractured homes. You know, we didn't have a mother, father most of the time. We didn't have that model to emulate. So it's a generational thing. You keep repeating the same stuff with your parents and with your grandparents. Actually, before the grandparent part of it, things were more or less intact because the assault wasn't that deep at that time. So it's wonderful if we have people in our environment that we can ask to, that have those strong relationships, you know what I mean, that we can say, and it's not somebody on TV or in the movie, it's actual people that we know. You know, and as far as what Tezzy was saying, Women's Auxiliary was formed for the women. But this particular issue that Omar has brought up, I think it's a male and female issue. It's not something that the women are supposed to try to solve on their own because it's not just a women's issue. If there are broken homes, all of our homes are broken. If our relationships are not good, it's not just the women who are affected by it or who are responsible for correcting it. It's all of us. What we don't want to do is to become a group that's a woman pushing or bashing or a man bashing thing. We haven't got time for that nonsense. It's about working together because we've already done and we continue to do our own homework on ourselves. And when we love ourselves, you know, each one of us loves ourselves, then we can work with other people a whole lot better. You know, we can't do it if we're fractured ourselves. We have to work on that first. It doesn't mean that we can't work on the community simultaneously. And it also doesn't mean that if we don't personally have a good relationship, that it precludes us, in other words, from having something to offer. Actually, sometimes when you've made a whole lot of mistakes and you have a lot of experience, then you can say, these are all the things you don't do if you want to have a good relationship. You know what I mean? But we want the positive too. We don't just want, well, he doesn't beat her up and she doesn't run around. We want to see some of the positive things that people do to make a relationship work as well. You know, and it's not about, well, I'm going to have a $10,000 wedding. These are going to start to stop this nonsense and watching it. No, it's the truth. I want to have, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, or I'm not going to be happy. That's not what it's all about, right?
That's what they've been conditioned.
Well,
part of it. So we've got to break some of that stuff. That's so. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
Well, I wanted to ask the group, so the highest science on the highest science in the universe is what? The highest science in the universe is what? I think you guys should be thinking something. Common sense.
Yeah.
You see how hard it took to into that? Because everybody's thinking something way out there, and it's something basic. Common sense. So if common sense says, if you say, okay, you know what? This policy enforcers right here, but you know, I'm a jaywalk. Just common sense will tell you, don't be that stupid. You're looking for something. Whether you can get out of it, no, who cares? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Common sense. And the problem that we have is common sense is not there.
Yeah.
Common sense is not there. So it's not like Brother Ted was saying, you go into here and go in here and read this book and get this lecture and do that.
I want to touch on
It's exciting.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I want to touch on that whole thing about trying see if we can do the policy enforcement over there and let's try to jaywalk and see if we do something. That's a lot of times. That's a lot of what people think. That, like, they'll say, "Why don't you use your nationality card and try to get a plane ticket to see your work?"
Yeah. This is the mindset that I was talking about. That you gotta understand. Okay, if you're an idiot, right? You know you're an idiot.
No, not all the time.
No. You do know because you've been in a relationship with your mother, your sisters, brothers, your friend. You know, like if I'm a jerk, I'm a jerk. I know that, right? So if that's you, then you're not ready for this yet. Take your time. Yeah. Like another thing they were saying, like how they go back to Jesus as a carpenter. Why do you think they keep bringing that up? Jesus as a carpenter. Right? They give you symbols, right? The symbols are there for reasons. Right? Now you have the hammer, you have the compass, you have the square. What are those things for? Like if you don't understand that, you got to go in there and research that. I can tell you right now, but it's not going to do nothing for you, right? Master that, because that's a reason why they put Jesus as a carpenter. He wasn't actually a physical carpenter. There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you have a problem with yourself, you got to fix those things. That's why those symbols are there.
And how you were speaking earlier about just how your day goes, it's all about the power of manifestation. It's like before you roll out of your bed, think about what you're gonna do with your day. Not just, oh, it's a beautiful morning, or I'm gonna drink some water and brush my teeth. Plan your entire day. Your entire day, your entire life. There's a power of you can manifest anything. Again, common sense, the power of thought. So if you're worried about something, that worry will be built and will come into your day just based on that worry. So try and wake up in a positive and thoughtful sense.
Just when she thought that something was gonna happen and it happened, you know? Perfect example.
Yeah, that's the power of yeah. And another thing what the sister was just saying is, to me anyway, not just the day, but you, from the time you were born, you had a certain way of thinking. And it's your subconscious mind. You've impressed, as we said last 2 weeks ago, Israel, Egypt, the darkness inside of you. You made that. It's either your grandparents, teachers, whoever. As a youth, and you think a certain way, you act a certain way. You believe in certain things. Is that you, or is that your belief system? So now you're brought up that way. Now you say, okay, sit down and have a good day today. But deep down inside, you're saying, nah. You're not saying that, but deep down inside, it's like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna miss that bus. I'm gonna be late. I'm gonna do this. Supervisor's gonna do this. But yet you're saying, yeah, I'll have a great day. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And then what happens? You say, you see, so you reinforce this. And so this is what I'm trying to say. It's not a laughing matter. It's real. In everybody's life, it's real. This is the Egypt that they're talking about. That you have to get out of darkness. So you have to go in and say, okay, yeah, I believe this is true. You have to say, I'll have a good day. Well, you have to say that every time you're conscious of it, you have to say
you gotta you gotta re-impress. You gotta re-impress.
This all leads to that. Because all the so-called ultimate players are looking at us saying, okay, what do you guys do? Right? Whether it's right or wrong. So they're saying, okay, you guys act just like us because you're ignorant, you're this and that, you're this and that. Why would I change? Right? Why would I change? So now when my nephews see me, they're like, oh, so why are you a certain way? Why you always, since I know you've been like that? Because that's me. Yeah. I'm trying to impress anybody. That's me. I iron my clothes because I had my clothes ironed. Yeah. Not because I'm trying to show off on anybody. Yeah. Right? Who doesn't like us, their problem. Yeah. What I'm saying is, it comes back to this. Because if a so-called policy enforcer, a European sees us on the street, they're going to say, okay, like, how come he's different than the rest? Yeah. Right? Is he a Moor? Or is he a black guy? Yeah. Right? We gotta get to the point where they're not saying black guys anymore. Right? Oh, there's the Moors. Yeah. That's it. There's the Moors. Yeah.
So anyways, that's what I think to wrap that, I think that we'll obviously see that there's a lot of energy behind this. So I think this one, as I said, starting up, and we can talk more about this at the solstice, exactly how that's going to look. We can have sort of like a nation building class as something Saturday mornings, which can then incorporate this relationship stuff and all that kind of stuff, which I think are the sort of nuts and bolts behind getting us, the nuts and bolts behind the nation stuff. Okay? So one of the things before going, I'm hoping people who want to go to the summer solstice will hopefully sign or put their application down with their phone number, contact information, and then I'm hoping to get sort of it's $10. It's $7.50 to take the ferry over. Then I just said the ferry's crazy. It's $10 to take a taxi over, but then you get the ferry ride back. So the $7.50 gets you there and back, but as I said, the lineups are crazy. $10 gets you over, and then you can come back on the ferry, or it'll be another $10 back. So you guys can figure out how you want to do that. If enough of you want to take the ferry there, the taxi there and the taxi back, we can make those arrangements. But I'm figuring just about us getting there, and then maybe you can filter your way back. Well, how soon do you need to be there? So how? I told the gentleman that I would be calling him. I'd say next week, because we're already at the end of. We're at the end of May.
So then anyone who wants to take the taxi should be advised that you need to produce your $10. You need the money up front, is that right? Or
I would prefer the money up front. I mean, I don't have any problems myself putting that up, but I think it would definitely show your commitment right? You come next week, sign up and give you $10. Right?
We'll say for the third, funds by the third.
Yeah, that'd be it. $10 per person there, $10 per person back. $20 beyond.
If you want to take the taxi both ways, then you can get to $10 there, and then because you're on the island, they're not checking your ticket like this. Like once you got to the island, you get a free ride back.
What date we on?
Of course, right.
You could take a taxi there and swim back.
But ultimately, that's for
who don't notice, right?
That's for those who want an extra arm.
But remember this, on the island, you've got two options, right? You can take Moor's Island, you can take well, actually, either Moor or Center Island, where you obviously have to walk to those two different points. But Raphael is absolutely right. If it's crazy going over there, then more than likely it's going to be crazy going back. Right?
So what's the date again?
June 23rd. It's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna be crazy. And just for further, because when I went over there was an incredible experience that I had, just feeling the island again. Because we've all, I'm sure, been there. I'm gonna start making this through the Moor's Culture Club. I want to be having a couple of events every year on the island. I want to have a wonderful frisbee golf thing there. I've never done it, which is you get this frisbee and then
I never done that.
they have these like little sort of bowls of wire, and you have a frisbee, and you sort of will have a fairway, right? The guys go over there, and you get, so it's like a course. They've also got some basketball courts. They've also got some baseball things. So I want to start to incorporate as the culture. This is what the cultures do. They get together and they have their days. So why we as a people shouldn't be able to head over to the island twice a year in the summer to get out of this mess, but not really have to be out of it. We should be able to do so. That's where it's at.
To the island we go.
Yes. So, no other questions? Yasu, we'll just close out before you. We're gonna go right now. Darrell, you ready, bro?
Okay.
Get your stuff, man. Don't worry about your shirt, man. Just put on your face. Just put on your face, man. Don't worry about your shirt. Where's the
Show off the muscle.
Need your face, bro. Can't forget that. Oh yeah, and if anybody I got 2 copies of Out the Darkness left. And also I have one of them zeros. I have 3, but one of them zeros. So, right? And as well Out of Darkness, and I have cards for the sisters that make the casual fezzes, like what you see Brother Darrell wearing. So I have her contact, and I have contact for another sister that makes she makes some Circle 7 t-shirts and stuff like that.
All right, so let's
all right, when you're ready, Darrell. Oh, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, Islam. Yeah. What's that? Oh yeah, no, I'm just giving up. I should have enough. There's a lot more peace and love.